BANSA, magnificent wealth. But of course, he also has his own views. He's an accomplished lawyer, Dean of the Pamantasan ng Luzon ng Maynila College of Law. Pakinggan po natin si Dean Ernest Maceda.
Salamat po, Congresswoman. Good morning to everyone. As Senator Ziga said, my father is recovering from a sensitive operation he just undertook. It's the same operation that GMA had on Rene. So right now, sometimes it's lucid and sometimes it's not. And if he were not recuperating, he would, I'm sure, be seated here sharing his experiences. He was very honored to have been invited. What I would like to share is, my father just turned 80. And as it is, when you turn 80 years old, these milestones, your family tends to come up with these AVPs, interminable AVPs about your life. And of course, my father has had a long and storied career in public service. But hindi ko nawawala sa kanyang AVP yung litrato ng kanyang boto noong 1991. And if you were to speak of the iconic photos from that day, I can think of several. One is, of course, the Senator Salonga's actual statement when he cast his own vote and the gavel. Of course, Senators Bobby Tañada and Lorenzo Tañada, nagmamano. A lot of you were there around Senator Tañada. R.C. Constantino still had his hair all over the place, I think. And the photo of the actual vote, my father was right there in front because he was seated in the front row as either the majority leader or the assistant majority leader. And in the old Senate, the cameras were to the right of the Senate President's rostrum. So that the view was really from the right looking at them, and my dad was right there. And which is the reason also it always comes out in his AVPs, because bida siya. And my son, who is also named after Manong Ernie, asked him, Wowo, he calls him Lolo Wowo, what's this all about? What is the US basis? And of course, as my father got older, wala na rin siyang pasensya to explain what that was all about. And he would say, why don't you look at the internet? But then I realized that, the internet cannot really tell you everything about that very important vote. And so it became my responsibility also to enlighten my son. And when I would have the time, what I would tell him, I remember I told him once, is that Ernest, or Max, which is his nickname, I'd say, Max, you're able to breathe easier, so much easier now, because of that vote almost 25 years ago. So that brings me to 2 points. So number one, my son's generation, your generation, the younger ones here, don't really know, are not really aware of the importance or the difficulty of that vote. All the considerations that these men and women had to face. And it's good that we're having a fora like this so that their vote will be commemorated, and what led to it and why it's important now will be discussed. But I myself, I had my curiosity also, and so I asked my dad before, I remember. Sabi ko, Dad, because my father actually would be a strange bedfellow in this group, because well, my father's votes are always there's always nuance. He's always aware of the complications. It's never simple. So I said, Dad, I know about the difficulty of this vote. I know that you were bullied. The situation was inherently a situation where the senators had to be bullied into voting. Even the American representative here, see, Armitage, was a bully. So tell me, how is it that you were able to vote this way? Because this is one of the votes, if you see his columns, my father has always been consistently, very strongly independent when it comes to foreign policy. And I was surprised by his answer. He said, son, that was one of the easiest votes I had the privilege to make. You know, you're telling me about all this pressure. You're telling me about how President Cory Aquino came to the Senate. You're telling me about what was at stake economically, etc. You're telling me about how the country seemed to favor the retention of the bases, no matter how hard the efforts were. But for me, it was very easy. And for me, that said a lot about his position. That says a lot about how he continues up to now to struggle, to fight when it comes to this issue for our independent foreign policy. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for inviting us. I'm glad to be here to represent you.
Maraming salamat po. Muli.